Joey, thanks a lot for joining us today and answering some of our questions. I think everybody wants to know, how practices, the 5-on-5, the scrimmages and things like that are going. And I'd especially be interested in, compare maybe the level of competition to what you've seen in past years. There are not a lot of guys in this team that are really experienced. So we want to hear from someone experienced like you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here first off. Practice has been great. We have a deep team, obviously reloaded with a good freshman class. And those guys have been great. They bring it every day. They have enthusiasm. They compete. And then you match that with our returning players, myself, Jay Gold, Wendell, Matt Hurt. And it's made for some awesome practices. Really excited to be able to officially start practice pretty soon here, then going under the season, and it'll be a good year with this group.
And Joey, can I ask, what are your personal goals, and how do you feel you've improved the most, versus last season? Personal goals and team goals as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the goal for us always here at Duke is to win a national championship. So that's number one, and that's my number one personal goal as well. I feel like if we all gear towards that, everything else will take care of itself. So, but a big thing as an older guy on the team now is just kind of showing the way for the younger guys a little bit, just stuff that I've learned as a younger kid over the past 2 years. So trying to help them out and making their life easier as they transition to playing this level.
All right, we'll go to Rod Baxley and then Brian Horace. Go ahead, Rod.
Joey, just kind of piggybacking off that, man, aside from the obvious and dealing with a pandemic, what are some of those biggest differences you've noticed in yourself as a player and now as an upperclassman entering that third year at Duke?
I'd say just being confident. I feel like I know the system well. I know what I need to do. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. So kind of just playing to those and just working on all areas of my game and letting the rest take care of itself, just trying to win. I mean, that's the number one goal at the end of the day. So.
All right, Brian Horace, go ahead.
Hey, Joey, again, thanks for taking the time. Were there specific aspects of your game that you set out to work on during the offseason?
Absolutely. I mean, I think all areas of my game needed improvement, and they still do. But I'd say defensively, I wanted to improve a lot. Just being able to defend and stay on the court for long periods of time without fouling and stuff like that. So that was a big area of focus over the quarantine, the time that we had off.
All right, we'll go to Jim Sumner and then Evan Colin. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Joey, is the beard going to stay?
We'll see. I'm kind of just riding it out for now.
Okay. I want to ask you about, all of a sudden you wake up and you're one of the veterans in a very young room. As a leader, are you a natural leader? Is it something you've had to grow into? What are your key lessons as a leader to these young guys?
I think I've always kind of been a guy that leads by example more than vocal. Working hard every day, competing every day, bringing enthusiasm and talking and kind of just showing what needs to be done on a daily basis. But obviously, as an older guy, there's times when I need to be a leader in a way that I haven't been before. So I'm learning as well how to try and show the younger guys how everything works on and off the court here. And so that's been an awesome experience for me because I've grown from it as well. So yeah.
A quick follow-up, if I may. Coach K has always valued for a versatile mid-sized position as players. Duke's got a lot of those guys on this team, including you. How does that play to your strengths? How do you see yourself fitting into a lineup with a bunch of guys like that?
I think we're, like you said, we're versatile. We have a lot of different guys that can do a lot of different things. And I think one area that it really helps us is defensively. We have a lot of athletes that are 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and they're long. So I think we'll be really good defensively, and it'll play to our advantage.
All right, Evan Colin, and then we'll go to Brendan Marks. Evan, go ahead.
I forget whether it was Wendell or Henry Coleman in their availability, but they said something they'd like to see is a 3-point contest between you and DJ. So I was going to ask, first, is something like that in the works? And sort of related to that, how do you guys sort of push each other in practice in terms of, just trying to outshoot each other and, being sort of those centric, 3-point shooters on the team?
I think we could set that up eventually. But DJ's been awesome. He's a hard worker. He comes every day and competes, and he's always getting extra work. I was in the gym last night shooting, and he walked in and we talked for a little bit. But he's always putting in the extra work, and I'm really excited to see what he does here.
Brennan, go ahead.
Thanks, Joey, for taking the time. I was just sort of curious, obviously a lot going on in the past 6 months or so, but how was the process different for you guys in terms of integrating all the new guys, just coming back to campus? Like, how did you sort of process all that, and just how different was it from what you've been accustomed to the first 2 seasons of your career?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the COVID-19 protocols and everything, it's been an entire different world in terms of just what we're able to do compared to a normal year. And so I think one big thing is usually we're able to spend more time with the new guys off the court and just do more things. So I've learned to appreciate the time that we have on the court with the guys and in the locker room, and just interacting with them and getting to know them in different ways than normal. Because that's such an important aspect that I don't know if people realize, but if you're not comfortable with your team, it makes it more difficult to perform on the court. So I think the coaches have done a good job of finding ways to get us to interact with each other, and I think we're a pretty close-knit group, and we'll only continue to get closer as the year goes on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll go to Tom Shanahan, then Mark Armstrong, and Jason Evans. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Joey, you've had some hot streaks from three-point range. For the rest of us who never had to adjust their shot to play against a D1 defender, can you talk about gaining more consistency, what all is involved? Is it quick release, footwork? Just tell us about that process.
I think a lot of it is the technical stuff that you mentioned, the different footwork, stuff like that. But it's also confidence, just having confidence to consistently produce and do what you know you can do. So going into this year, that's a big thing for me. I feel like I'm more confident in myself than I have the past 2 years. And hopefully that helps us win more games this year than before.
Thank you.
All right, Mark Armstrong.
Joey, you kind of touched on this earlier, but building a whole new chemistry every year has to be difficult. And then going through COVID and then going through all the social upheaval that's been going on, do you feel like there's been a hastened maturity in any of the young guys, and you guys as a team have had to grow up faster even this year than you would have otherwise?
Absolutely. I mean, these are difficult times, the virus, the social unrest, and so we've come together through that stuff. We've had conversations among our team. We've had conversations with the coaches about this stuff. And so just being able to come together during a difficult time, it makes us closer than we probably would have otherwise. Even though the opportunities to hang out like off the court and stuff aren't there like a normal year, just kind of what we've been through together already before we even step on the court together. I think it's special, and it's made us closer already, and it'll continue to show throughout the year, hopefully.
Hey, Joey, so I'm going to ask you to be a little revealing here. Think about your teammates, the guys you've been playing, with in practice in the 5-on-5s. Who surprised you? What are the moments that stick out in your mind where you're like, well, I didn't know this guy could do this or that or whatever it may be. But come on, really tell us who's showing up to play in practices so far.
I think all the guys have had moments where I kind of just took a second and was like, okay, this isn't what you normally see from a freshman. They all have glimpses, and they all bring their own thing to the table. If you want one specific example, I think it was the first time we were playing fives, and I don't know who was driving, but they kind of just threw the ball up to the rim, and Mark just dunked it like it was nothing. And I didn't really realize how big and long he is around the rim. So that's going to be valuable for us this year, I think. But like all the guys have had moments where they really shined, and I think you guys will see that throughout the season.
All right, we'll go to JB Ricks and then Brendan Marks and Brian Horace. JB, go ahead.
Hey, Joey, thanks so much for taking out the time for us this morning. Just from your perspective as a student athlete, as a collegiate basketball player, in a perfect world, how is this season going to play out considering all of the unknown we're dealing with and all of the factors that will have to be considered when it comes to Corona and, bubble atmospheres and all that? What's the perfect atmosphere for you for this college basketball season to be played?
Any season that allows us to play. I mean, I know there's a ton of different variables that go into enabling us to have a season, and the virus complicates that tremendously. And so I honestly don't have a clear answer of what it'll look like, but I can speak for myself, and I can speak for the rest of the team. As long as we have a season and we're able to play basketball, then we're happy. Obviously, we'd love to have fans. We'd love to have you guys there. And maybe that happens. I'm not sure. It's probably unlikely, but as long as we have basketball, I think we'll be happy.
We're hoping the same thing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. No problem.
All right, Brendan Marks, go ahead.
Joe, yeah, and sort of following up on JB's question, but when you are guys actually going through practice, I know you're probably not as far along as you would normally be in a normal year, normal schedule and everything. How have you guys sort of been adjusting in that sense? Has it been more individual work? Has it been? I know you mentioned you guys have played some fives. We've seen some videos, but what do practices actually look like, and has maybe more of that time on individual work actually been beneficial?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a different approach compared to the previous years I've been here. And it's allowed for more individual time, like you said. We kind of slowly progressed into playing. And I think part of the reason for that is we had an abrupt ending to the season and a lot of time where there was not much going on. And so it was important just to kind of build a foundation again and get back into the rhythm of everything. And I think we're almost back in the swing of things. Practice starts pretty soon. Before we know it, we'll be playing. So it's been a gradual progression, but it's been awesome, and it's allowed for growth in other areas that we wouldn't really have the opportunity to have. So it's pretty good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Brian Horace and then Evan Colan. Go ahead, Brian.
So, Joey, obviously in college basketball, having a crowd is a huge part of the game, whether you're loved or hated, or and it's a big part of the ebb and flow of the game. If there is no crowd or a limited crowd, how do you think that's going to affect the way you guys are on the court?
I mean, yeah, you said it. We feed off the Cameron crazies. If we're on a road game, we're typically in a pretty packed arena, and we feed off of the booze and all of that stuff. So being able to develop our own energy and enthusiasm among ourselves is a huge key for us this year. And honestly, this team, from what I've seen so far, we bring it every day. Everyone's excited to work. Everyone's excited to practice. And I'm sure when the time comes when we're playing games, that'll only be amplified. So it's not the same, and it's unfortunate, but I think we'll make the best of the situation, and we'll bring enthusiasm every night. We'll have a good time.
All right, Evan Colan, go ahead.
I know it's been a while, and it doesn't look like it's going to be happening, but I know Coach K was the biggest proponent of that all-inclusive NCAA tournament. So I was just wondering whether Coach talked to you guys, the players, about not only what you guys thought about it, but also why he believed that was, sort of like, a good alternative for this season.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoke to him about that much, and he didn't really talk to the team about it much, so I'm not too familiar with it.
Brian McLaughlin, go ahead.
Hey, Joey, appreciate you being here, man. You were talking about leadership and you being a guy that doesn't lead, or that you lead by example more than vocally. It's a pretty quiet group of returners. Jay Gold's not a vocal guy. Matt Hurt doesn't seem to be a vocal guy. Wendell maybe a little more. So who's kind of stepping up and being that voice in the locker room? I mean, are you having to step up a little bit more in that role?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think for my first 2 years, a guy that I kind of looked up to in that sense was Jack White. He was super vocal, practices, workouts, lift. He was talking, and he wasn't just talking. He was talking a lot. You knew what was going on. So I realized coming into this season before we even got on campus that was going to be missing, something that was there for the past 2 years, and that I'd probably have to fill his shoes a little bit more. So I mean, I said I'm typically lead by example, but I mean, definitely I've upped the ante on vocal leadership and just talking more on the court. So Wendell's been great as well. He's a super vocal guy. And Matt Hurt is talking more than ever. So it's exciting. I think everybody's growing and maturing and kind of filling into the spots that have opened up.
Cool. Thanks, Joey.
Absolutely.
Evan, did you have another question?
Yeah, I have another question if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just going back again a couple months, I know you and Cassidy Stanley had those kind of cryptic tweets about him returning, and I know he in his presser again back in a couple months, he sort of jokingly put the blame on you for that. So I was just sort of wondering what the process was like behind that and what sort of went around there.
Well, me and Cassius have been friends since probably 7th grade. We were at a camp together and somehow became roommates there. And ever since, we just stayed connected through the travel circuit growing up in middle school and then high school. And so when he came here, it was awesome. I mean, one of my best friends coming to the same college, it was awesome. And so just having some good fun with him throughout the process. And I think that's all that was. It wasn't anything deeper than that. But we'll miss him this year. I think he's going to do great things at the next level.
All right, we'll go to Vashti Hurd and then Brian Horace.
Hi, Joey. Thanks for your time. I know you guys are still getting to know each other and you're doing fives, but you had to talk about what we can expect the identity of this team to be. Can you give us some insight into that?
I think we're deep, we're versatile, and we're athletic. We'll get into teams and we'll play fast. I mean, we have a lot of really good players that bring different things to the table, and I think coach will let that be seen. So it'll be a fun year. We'll have a lot of good games. Hopefully on the schedule. I know that's still in the works, and but I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for you guys to see the team. I think you guys will love it. So. Thank you.
We got time for a couple more. We'll go to Brian Horace and then Jim Sumner. Go ahead, Brian.
Joey, you've been particularly outspoken in terms of social justice on social media. Was that something that's always been a part of you, or is it something that was sparked here while you were at Duke in the last few months?
I think it was definitely a part of me. The past few months, kind of just becoming more educated on everything, all the different situations has definitely led me to be more vocal through my social media stuff, and it's something that's important to me because I've had conversations with a lot of close friends about the issues, and just hearing their takes on it, and I didn't feel right not speaking on it.
All right, last question, Jim Sumner. Go ahead.
Joey, you were addressing strengths and weaknesses earlier, and you mentioned defense is something you needed to improve on. The couple other areas I want to talk to you about. You're a great foul shooter, so getting to the foul line would be an asset to the team. So your ability to get to the rim off the bounce. The other thing is rebounding. You haven't been much of a factor on the board so far. How important is it for you to improve those two areas of your game? How are you going about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think those are the next steps for me. Being able to not just be a shooter or scorer, but an all-around player, defender, rebounder, get to the line. I think if I add those, I think it'll help our team a lot, and it'll take me to a different level that I've been at before. So.
All right, Joey, really appreciate you taking the time today. Best of luck this season. And we will send quotes out later today, and we'll have high-res video available for anybody who wants it. Just hit me with an email, and we'll send that to you later on. So, Joey, again, thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Take care.
Joey.
Thanks, Joey.
Yeah.